So over this past week, we had two major announcement streams in the FGC with the EVO announcement stream and the Game Awards. Obviously, these events announced huge things for us in 2026, like the EVO Japan and EVO Vegas rosters, to updates on future titles like Invincible Versus and 2XKO. Now, I already covered some of my feelings for these announcements going into them, but after the fact, I'll just say, personally speaking, I'm not the hugest fan of Caitlyn, especially going into launching a week before Frosty Faustings, but I'm going to wait to make a solid opinion on her. I want to see actual gameplay. I imagine she'll be a zoner, maybe one more shot based, but if I had to put my money somewhere, maybe I'll pick her up. We'll see. But for all the Invincible Versus stuff, including the release date and Elemental and the EVO spot 2 months after release, make sure you actually check out my new podcast with Ashervox called Speak Versus, where you can hear more of my in-depth feelings about it. I'll leave a link in the description at the end of this video if you want to check that out, but you may notice that there's a big upcoming tag game that I've neglected to mention. That's for good reason. You see, we didn't hear anything related to Marvel TOKON during these two shows. That's leaving me a little concerned. We did just get an end-of-year message from producer Takeshi Yamanaka, literally as I'm writing the script, by the way. And from it, it's safe to say we're seeing more characters revealed soon, and the game will still be launching in 2026, which did help my worry for this game get mitigated a good amount, but a part of me still worries about a certain part about this game, and that's how the marketing has been handled so far, and how it could be handled leading into the new year. So now that we've pinpointed the huge issue with Marvel TOKON, let's dive right in and figure out if this new end of year message really saves my worries about the marketing too. So why does the marketing bother me? Well, it's really simple. If we look at the game from a timeline standpoint, meaning from when it was announced on June 4th in the State of Play up until now, we've only really heard from the game whenever it showed up at an event for a demo like EVO, TGS, and EVO France, and if there was a beta coming up. Even then, the EVO demo and the first beta didn't have Spider-Man or Ghost Rider, only showing up starting with TGS, which makes me feel that at the reveal, these two weren't even finished. The only true new thing we've had for this game since the reveal has actually been the X-Mansion stage, as even with Savage Land, we had some teasing a little after reveal in the developer interviews, so it wasn't really a quote-unquote new thing when it was shown at TGS. While we solidly know now we're getting more characters revealed in the new year before the release, still in 2026, that's not to say it won't be a trickle as it has been so far. From its absence at both the EVO announcement stream and the Game Awards, it's safe to say that this game will launch late into 2026. While this game still has some people excited for the release next year and are always on the lookout for any news or content for the game like myself, not everyone's wired like that, and the fact that this game isn't showing up in more places or being talked about more is doing this game a huge disservice in keeping in the public eye. And the fact is that Marvel has to push this game in the new year so that more people get excited for TOKON, especially with more characters, since it's still wild to me we only have 8 announced in a 4v4 fighter, and the fact it's so easy in the betas to run into a mirror of at least one fighter should never be the case, devoid of how the meta is looking. Like, you can look at my Marvel TOKON beta stream and every single time it was a mirror. Probably because everyone wanted to play Spider-Man, but that's besides the point. So if Marvel and PlayStation really want to step up their marketing going into the new year, they got to reveal more characters, at least in the first quarter. We got to reveal somebody, and also appear at more grassroots FGC events like other games do. I mean, don't get me wrong, EVO is still a huge stop to show off your upcoming fighting game and announce some new content, but it's not the whole equation, buddy. And that's something that 2XKO is starting to understand, and they're taking advantage of. Since launch, they've had the first Impact circuit where they've even appeared in small little locals, FGC meetups, who meet twice a month. So that's already huge for them, and now they got the 2026 Challenger Series coming up. Well, they'll be showing up at more local level events and boosting them up as regionals, and of course appearing at stuff like Frosty Faustings too. So maybe Sony needs to take a page from Riot's book. We just need this game more in our faces. Maybe a Frosty's, Combo Breaker, CEO, just more opportunities for us to play this game, learn new content about the game, see the developers, see how top FGC legends are feeling about the game. That's just what we need, because right now there's only 4 videos on the Marvel TOKON YouTube, and it's either from the announcement or announcing betas. The fact that our biggest news for this game has just been when Arxis decides to allow us to play the game is worrying. It is really worrying that we get a beta, radio silence, another beta, radio silence. It should never be that way. So why has the marketing been so bare bones leading into 2026? Why have we only heard from this game whenever there's going to be another beta? And that's it. I have a theory, alongside a lot of what the Tokon scene is thinking about and that I've heard on Twitter being thrown back and forth. As you see, 2026 is going to be a huge year for Marvel. I'm talking multiple games, including Tokon, but also Insomniac's Wolverine and potentially the 1943 game if that doesn't get delayed again. That's honestly more in the dark than Tokon is, so that's kind of worrying. But we also got an insane amount of TV shows, from the Punisher special presentation, Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Vision Quest, and also more seasons of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and X-Men 97. But the important part here, and the reason I bring this up, are the two movies that we're getting, being Spider-Man Brand New Day, and the important one, Avengers Doomsday. This is going to be huge for Marvel, getting the Russo brothers back on to make another Avengers movie after the blockbusters that were Infinity War and Endgame. So you already know we're getting the huge Marvel hive mind to finally get back on a Marvel project, just as Fantastic Four did, and hyped up for Doomsday. And honestly, I love seeing Doctor Doom in the post-credit scene. I'm excited myself. So now imagine this. Now we have a game that's potentially looking like late 2026. There's a movie coming out December 18th, 2026. It may be the case that Marvel wants to release Tokon alongside Doomsday, or at least around that release date, for a little bit of simultaneous marketing, saying, hey, you guys love Doomsday, maybe we'll play a trailer or do a lot of marketing with it, but you should check out our fighting game that features Doctor Doom, Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls. I imagine that'll get a lot of eyes, especially since Marvel is already going to have a ton of eyes on them at the time, and they can boost the sales of their brand new fighting game where you can play as Doom, as in terms of the casual market, it's hard for people to get into fighting games. It can also explain why we had the game announced so early and had the barebone marketing that we've had leading up to 2026. So imagine this hypothetical situation, right? It's May 22nd, 2025. You're a part of the Tokon marketing team. You have a solid year planned for marketing for Marvel Tokon, from the initial announcement, the summer state of play, up until a release around May 1st, 2026 to coincide with the release of Doomsday, so that you can grab the eyes of a huge amount of casual Marvel fans from the MCU to check out your game through simultaneous marketing with Doomsday. You check your phone and no, not like that. No, Doomsday got delayed! Now it's releasing on December 18th. Okay, that means we gotta delay all of our marketing and potentially the announcement by half a year, but everything will still be okay, right? We're 2 weeks out from the state of play. We can't back out now! Guess we gotta reveal the game a little early. And that's what I feel happened here. While you can try to say I'm connecting dots that aren't there, I'm starting to believe this claim because the timing just makes sense. With the delay of Doomsday being just 2 weeks before the state of play, there's no choice but to still go through with the announcement if everything was already set in stone. Maybe the dev team cut down a lot of what might have been shown for Tokon this year, but I imagine a lot of what we've seen, and the little amount we have, is because of the straggling pieces they couldn't change because they made prior agreements to hold betas or to show up events like EVO and TGS, and now leading into 2026, they can actually commit to a better schedule now that we're back at a year out of Doomsday like we were half a year ago before the delay. Maybe there was also crunch time that was being put on the Tokon dev team to make that Doomsday deadline of May 1st, 2026. Looking at the reveal and even leading up until the end of this year, as I said before, we only had 6 characters in the early demos and betas, and only in the latter half, starting at the end of September with TGS, did we get our hands on Spider-Man and Ghost Rider. So these characters weren't even done, but they weren't in the reveal, which has me thinking there was going to be more crunch and maybe even less characters in the roster if it did release in mid-2026. So maybe the delay of Doomsday is a good thing for Marvel Tokon to allow more characters, allow more dev time, allow the dev team and this game to breathe a little more in order to avoid that crunch. Don't get me wrong, I'm still super excited for Tokon next year, and I really want to see this game get all the attention and praise it deserves and really flourish in the FGC, but with that, we have to address elephants in the room like these, and through linking up other moving pieces in the Marvel universe, maybe a clearer answer as to why Tokon's marketing has been such a nothing burger. While I'm not a fan of the simultaneous marketing with the MCU, I still can see why Marvel would be in favor of this. Fighting games are very hard to market towards a casual casual audience, especially something like tag fighters, which are a lot more complicated than your standard 2D Street Fighter. But through having your eyes on the game through Doomsday and having marketing with it and maybe showing previews for it before the movie, maybe allow more Marvel fans to really bite into that steak that is Marvel TOKON after devouring Doomsday. And you know, maybe I'm just connecting pieces that aren't there. Maybe I'm in my closet right now going absolutely insane, connecting the red threads where there aren't any. But it fits so well. I just can't ignore it. I'm just not a fan of this because I'm going to go on a little tangent here. The initial boom of the MCU in the 2010s really affected Marvel in the worst way. They wanted all of their comics, TV shows, and games to tie into the MCU and synergize with it. And that's why in that era, we saw a transition from cool Marvel games and Marvel projects like the comics into a lot of MCU slump, the death of the X-Men, the death of Fantastic Four, especially since they didn't have the movie rights because Fox did, until Disney just bought Fox out. And the Marvel games just became either licensed titles to coincide with a movie or Disney Infinity. And that MCU integration too, that's why I really hate MCU integration. It's actually one of the biggest reasons why Marvel vs. Capcom died. And I don't want this to happen to TOKON too. Marvel has learned their lesson from this though, even addressing it publicly after how successful and great Insomniac's Spider-Man was, and seeing how good it is to allow game developers to actually develop their own visions for these characters instead of just copying the MCU's homework. So thank you again to Insomniac's Spider-Man for allowing TOKON to be a good game and actually to even exist, making the relationship between Sony and Marvel an actual thing. So maybe this simultaneous marketing can be a healthier version of convergence between MCU and games, but we'll see in time. I'm still a little worried about it. And I'm also really passionate about that issue. And if you want to see a more analytical deep dive into that era of Marvel games with the MCU synergy, let me know. But with that, you all take it easy and have a good one. Deuces.